Buongiorno guys, welcome back to the channel. Joining me here in Italy, away from Australia. Today, Bitcoin, we need to discuss what has happened on the last 3 occasions for Bitcoin. Every time we saw this, we saw a mega crash afterwards. And why I think that's not going to happen this time around, and how that's going to lead to great trading opportunities for altcoins finally. If you've been following the channel for some time, and I know you should be hitting that like and subscribe button down below. Stay up to date with the content. We've been pretty much on point this whole way through, not to brag or anything, but essentially we've been watching the chart basically go through these patterns of this trending sideways, this move up, and then the failures. And it's important to look at where that failure happens and how it looks on a chart. There's a lot of news, a lot of noise, fear, greed, all that sort of stuff going around. But if you can read this on a chart, then even if you're wrong in your interpretation, you think the market's going to go one way, this keeps you safe. And that's all this is about, just to keep safe in the market so that you can survive. You can then go on to thrive. You obviously want to make money from the market. So let's have a look at what happened to Bitcoin on the last few occasions. And of course, check out Bybit, link in the top of the video description, up to $4,450 of sign-up bonuses. So use that link down there to get more than the typical standard sign-up bonus down there. And you can also trade on the platform, spot, leverage, whatever you do, but just make sure that you have a plan in mind and you keep stops so that you can protect your capital in the market. That's why I go through these quite often in the videos, so that people have an idea of where they could place their stops within their plan to prevent getting wiped out or liquidated in the market. It's not what you want. But you want to understand what's happening next and the signals to look out for. So let's have a look at Bitcoin right now. Going back to yesterday's video, the first video I did here in Italy, Bitcoin breakout, weak crypto bull market, won't last. So if that wasn't clear, nice and simple and quick. I think Bitcoin and cryptos are going to be moving up at this point with what we've seen over the last several trading days, of course, or even the last week or so, to this new high of recent times. But I don't think this is going to be the sustained crypto bull market that takes us into new all-time highs. I'm always weighing that up. So I see that there are trading opportunities at times, and other times I'll be looking to buy up crypto for that longer, bigger, much crazier swing. So these are the opportunities that I think we're going to have for cryptos right now for trading. Whereas last times, and you know that from the channel, I was not looking for crypto trades through here in May, this area. I thought there were some crypto trades to be had here in March when we went in that altcoin season, which was really quite weak in comparison to all other altcoin seasons. So this is what we saw from March into the Bitcoin conference top, and then that failed. That's what we'll look at. And then there's also through December, which was again really quite weak in comparison to previous runs in the market, but the energy was still quite high. So a lot of people were getting taken advantage of because their emotions were still extremely high, even though the trend had changed by that point for cryptos and of course Bitcoin. But we didn't see that until later on to get even stronger confirmation. But cryptos, they were over. So I want to look at this time in terms of the failure signal here. So we looked at yesterday, we wanted to see a breakout for Bitcoin. That is almost dead on these couple of bars here. We saw Bitcoin just starting to climb up to the downtrend range here. And I said in yesterday's video, so that's this one here, specifically looking at for 2 key things here for the trade. We wanted to see volume come into the market. We got that. You can see these 2 bars here. Volume came in. And then we also got the breakout and the confirmation. We want to see the market close above these key significant levels. And just recently on Twitter in the last 24 hours, it said 22K is that level. Reason being is these previous tops are in the market here, about 21.4, 21.7, 21,700. And then for a round number, for that psychological number, 22K. And guess what? Market has hit that, been rejected at it, and now it's testing these highs. We want to see it test it from the upper side. That's the good sign. The bad sign is what happened last time, so the last few times that these signals had happened. So I'm measuring this so that you can get an idea for it for your own trading as well. Look at the dump, the bounce. We have the dump and the bounce. We have the dump and the bounce. This one is a little more tricky to see, but this one here, you can see it here. You can see the clear trend swing change here using our Gann swing indicator. Link to that is in the video description as well. That's a key indicator that we use, and it's an exclusive indicator. And then in this last case where we had the crash, I was on a channel there with James, Invest Answers, and also Rand from Crypto Banter. I was on that channel. He was looking to go long in the markets here. I said in that video that day, publicly, live, I think Bitcoin is going to go down further based on the trend range, reading a chart, not just fundamentals and news and all that sort of nonsense. I call it nonsense because the chart tells us what we need to know. That is on that video on James's channel, not to brag or anything like that, but we need to know what is going on in the market. That crashed. For some reason, they were going long. The chart specifically said there is more probability that will go down first. Here we are. Now, I'm getting a little more excited because I think we have a little more upside to go here. The swings are up. You can see this yellow zigzag looking line. This is specific Gann analysis or Gann swing indicators. There's no other tool in TradingView to look at that, but you can learn how to do that. Anyone can go out and learn Gann analysis. The break of 22 is a good sign because we've just broken these highs, but we need that close. So we need the close above 22. At the very worst, you basically need it above those previous highs. That's 21,711, 21,866. So these last two highs. Otherwise, what could happen is we get a weak close, meaning the sellers step into the market, they take control of the market, they start pushing prices down because exactly what we looked at yesterday, just seeing that sometimes the sellers push the price up to test any more demand coming in, because if there is more demand, then that would then lead to a weak market because you need the buyers to push this price up. So what can happen if the sellers keep pushing that price down? Then we get lower prices, then we might come back and test the underside of the resistance level, and that's a weak position to be in because then we tend to go back down to the trading range, so back down to those previous support levels to test to see if there's any more demand to come in so that we can try and go higher. Now, if more demand comes in, then we'll go higher. If less demand comes in and the selling pressure continues, of course, we go down. It's as simple as that. The last time this happened, we saw the bounce. All right, so I'm using this top right here, and the market tried to peak above it. It closed underneath. So remember I talked about right here, just a second ago, the key here is in the next 8 hours, you need that market to close above these levels. So 21.7, 21.8 if you really want to get specific, but as a round number, just if you wanted to remember something off the top of your head, 22K, all right? So that's where we're at. And this is going to help us with our crypto trading as well. So see what happened to the market after it failed and closed underneath, came back to the underside of that resistance level, failed, and it went on a very strong move down. So I was reasonably confident. I never know 100% because I just am not Nostradamus predicting everything to be 100%. But from these levels here, you could start to see the market was really getting very, very weak. And that's why I didn't think we would have an opportunity to come back and get to that 34K from that point. Tested the underside, failure. We have to come back and see where the buyers step in again and then start the process all over again on a small time frame, medium time frame, longer term time frame, etc. All right, let's go back to the next one to see if this pattern continues to play out. This was the crash down. It was the dump, the volume's in, the fear's in. If you're in the market, you remember those days there around that 22nd to 24th of January. From that point, we went sideways into a bounce, then got rejected. This is now my key level right here. I want to see if the market can overcome that selling pressure that happened on those days. And if it can it hold support and then move away from that level? It got rejected kind of here, but mostly right here in early March. And then it got above it, but it could not hold. And guess what? Lower highs came in, although it wasn't directly underneath the level right here. It was still a lower high than that previous high that came in. So that's the first very minor sign of weakness coming in. If you want to see that in the news headlines, that would be telling you all over the news, which they don't tell you at that time. They cannot because they don't know. And this was during the Bitcoin conference. But if we were doing technical analysis news, that would then be telling us warning, warning, warning. The market is looking a little weak at this point, and there is a very high possibility that we are about to test the downside. And if we test it and it's weak, we will crash through it. And that's what happened on the 6th of April. Okay, so we've seen this play out once. It failed, crash. We saw it play out here, test, it crashed, tried again, and then crashed into that low. And so we got our measuring tool from here and then tested those highs again. That's the second time. The third time, that's 2 times this year. The third time in this bear market, you could even add another couple up here as well. But if we look to December, look at that crash and then the bounce. So we measure that price top right there. Go across with our horizontal line and see if the market can overcome that level, because this is where the sellers stepped in to push the market down after the strong load of buyers came in. They push the market down. What happens if the market comes back to that level? Are the buyers going to keep pushing up? We're going to have more buyers now? Or do we have less buyers and more sellers? Well, it showed us here on the 24th of December, sellers stepped in. The buyers came back a little higher, tried it again. It got rejected at exactly the same price. Sellers stepped in to a much greater degree, and you'd probably see a lot of sellers, smart money, unloading at this point because they knew there were going to be much lower prices. Unload, 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 and away she goes down. So that was the third time in this bear market that the market had a crash, a bounce, could not recover after that bounce. This was a significant, these are very, very significant points of reference for your trading. Market couldn't recover from that. Away she went. And remember, this isn't going to happen in the next day or two. That could take 20 days, in the case from top to the first test of 17 days, the second test of 20 days, and then you get another minor test here, which was a lower top, so it's not a test of this level, but it tried to recover, fail, and then fail again. All right, so it takes time. But from this point, we got above, and we stayed above for the longest period, but then it failed and continued to go down from that point. Again, where we were here, probably another few weeks at that point. There's the bounce, first test, 16 days, next test, 22 days, then the failure, and we started to break down at about 4-week mark. So we're here now from that first peak that I'm measuring from. We're in 17 days. This is all working out really, really nicely. Okay, so 17 days. We need to see the market get above that 22. At worst, hold above 21.7, closes and holds above 21.7 to then amount that next advance towards 24.5K, which is our 50% level. So this is purely tape reading on this daily chart to let us know what is the possibility of the things coming next, and is it safe to be taking some trades at this point. So overall, right now, I want to see in the next 8 hours the close above 22 to get me more bullish, and then that can lead me into some more altcoin trades. Seeing that the Bitcoin market is bullish, we've got some room to move to the upside, potentially 13 or so %. And of course, that's going to show in bigger percentages in other altcoins, things like Matic, which are also going through their own accumulation zones at this level to then break out to the upside. So this has got a diagonal slant plus horizontal resistances as well. So there's a fair bit in it here for Matic to overcome. And I've chosen Matic because it has been crushed really heavily. And so if we do get these bounces on Bitcoin where investors and traders are feeling more confident in Bitcoin, then we tend to see these ones that have been crushed bounce back for good trades. But I'm not talking about these as long-term holds, dollar cost averaging positions, because I think over the next several months of 2022, probably into 2023, we'll probably see lower prices on these altcoins. That's my theory. That's why I'm not investing in them long-term. But for trades, I think there are fantastic opportunities to some of the low resistance levels, 72 odd % for Matic. So it can overcome this little zone here. You've got 20 or so % in that zone, and then it can sort of shoot up to about 72%. So to stay safe in the market, keeping the stops behind the swings, because like you saw, if it fails, then those stops are usually a great signal underneath the swings using the TIA swing indicator to tell you this is probably a good point where the market is actually going to turn and go bearish. So that can keep you safe. And then with these altcoins, there's a reasonable upside without even using leverage. So safety, 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 always, always, always safety in the market, looking at the possible upside for profits, okay? So Matic looks all right in that sense. Similar sort of setup for Sol. You can see the slant here, throwing it on the candles. So looking at the 50%, we overcame that, got above the 36 bucks. Let's move that away from now. Higher lows, great. Horizontals, great. Upside here of 42 bucks. Need to get above that and then look towards that 59.60 level. And then, of course, that quick move up possibly to 80. I'm not getting too ahead of myself at this point, because it still needs a little bit to overcome, and these are going to possibly take time until we get that really big push. Very similar pattern to what we saw with Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart here. See these big strong candles, big volume, and then the closes above the resistance levels. That's a good sign that we want to see. So although it might be a little bit of a negative title here, with the warnings, there is a very, very good reason for the warnings that you can see here now that we've gone through of all these examples where Bitcoin failed and failed and failed. There were trading opportunities, definitely, to make gains on cryptos, but those guys who made the gains had to keep them by selling them quite quickly within a couple of weeks of the signal and then getting out of the market at that point. That's what I'm looking at from here. Like, subscribe, Bybit link, TIA link download, $4,450 sign-up bonuses. Check those out down below. Spread your risk out across multiple exchanges and use something good like Bybit. I'll see you at the next video, guys, from Florence here in Italy. Take care. Peace out.